you have to live a particular way. What I was initially saying in our earlier conversation was that if you deviate from the norm and you give yourself an opportunity to like really try something different, it could open up a new perspective for you. And it's the time allocation that goes into our habits, right? So our reading schedule, our fitness schedule, our sleeping schedule, our praying schedule, all these things are sewing into the person that we want to be. And if we're not trying new things, if we're not constantly evolving, we're going to be left behind. And I'm not just talking about the digital revolution. I'm talking about intellectually, physically. We won't be in a position to fend for ourselves.
Well, brother, if I'm being all the way honest with you, I think that's kind of where we're at with it already. It's like we're already in a position to where we can't really fend for ourselves, and that's kind of the problem that we're in. Is most black people, most men, whether you're black, white, whoever, you don't really have access to the resources that you need to take care of yourself. I mean, most people work their whole entire lives and then they retire. The problem is the system that you live in is exploiting people, and they're saying we want to keep people controlled, so we're going to raise the retirement age. Why are we making less than what our fathers and our mothers was making? Compared to inflation and how high everything is and the pay that we're receiving, we're actually making less than our fathers and our mothers, but we are expected to do more and pay more.
More in taxes, more in expenses, more in living costs.
And they tell us that because we don't know the system, we're the problem. The problem is that it was illegal for us to know the system up until 1960s. Businesses, corporations, states, they did not have to respect any rights of Negro people. Hence why you have what is called the Civil Rights Act that Donald Trump literally has just gutted. Literally, that's what you don't, jobs and corporations now do not have to hire you based off, they can fire you based off of the fact that you're black. They can call you a nigger and say, get your ass out of here. And literally, it's going to be a lot harder for you to prove. So, once again, it's not a black, I'm not trying to make this a black and white issue. I'm making this an issue of men and what type of men we are. We're indigenous men. We're melanated men. And there's a difference between us and what has happened to us. This system that's been created hasn't been created for melanin men to thrive. And what Caucasian men are now saying is that the power that they thought they had is being ripped away from them. They used to have the autonomy to just go and kill black people how they wanted to. That don't work no more. So when we are talking about creating a system for us to live in, for our future, we've got to factor that in and look at the fact that, okay, what happens when I go to these corporations and try to advance myself in these corporations?
You're defined by the structure that you're working within. So there's already ceilings and confines. The only way to really build generational wealth is to step outside of the confines of traditional institutions. Yes, you can take a job and leverage those hours, and you're trading your time for dollars. Point blank period. But you can leverage some of that to build and to put into other projects and other opportunities to build wealth. Leveraging credit, you know what I'm saying, friends and family and communal borrowing, whatever the case, whatever the tool, you have multiple options. So let's not get stuck in the working man versus entrepreneur divide. Because that's a whole other argument that tears people apart and really makes our community divided.
I agree 200%. And once again, that's a tactic of war. Why would you want poor people working together to create and change their narrative? Especially if I'm a business owner and I need people to come into my corporation and work for me, why would I want those workers not working for me? See, if I put together a system and I'm like, I want to rule over these people, how would I do it? Me personally, if I was that type of person, I'll tell you exactly how I would do it. I would create a system and only educate those people based off of being a slave. I wouldn't even give those people access to knowledge to even educate themselves out of the system. And I would create a hierarchy in that system to maintain it, to even, I mean, to gauge it, to show how the system is working, whether the slaves are getting unruly, the probability of the slaves being able to get out of the system, everything.
Every aspect of it. You're building it. So why would you put any advantages for the people you're trying to enslave? For the people you're trying to put under economic apartheid and subjugate and rape and pillage and test on.
In a sense, you're saying you want money. You're saying that we need more money.
We need capital. We need leverage.
Okay. And how do you get those things?
You either work together and barter your way into things that you need. You know what I'm saying? Constantly leveraging higher. Or you have to pull resources from somewhere else and funnel it into your enterprise, your idea.
What is capital? What is the definition of capital?
I use the word capital
in a financial aspect of the term because, 30 seconds and I'll give you back the floor. When I ask that question is, we used to be considered capital. Our flesh and our bodies literally used to be considered a form of capital. So if we don't fully understand commerce, economics, politics, these are the things that, once again, as a collective whole, we were not allowed to participate in. But now that we claim to be free, we're arguing and fighting amongst ourselves, but we're not placing blame where blame is due. You can't get mad at your child for being a child, can you?
Absolutely not. You can't be mad at your child for their ignorance, and you especially can't be mad at them for things that you never taught them or standards that you never instructed them on or put in place. And just to remind us, I did use the word capital in particular on purpose. I also used the word barter in there, with recognizing that money is the tool that's used most often. But if we leverage other resources, then we can barter our way through economic hardship, right? We might, I don't know if
I disagree. I disagree because of inflation and because we don't control the money. The money is
that's what I'm saying. That's why I didn't use the word money.
Like, think about it.
Money,
the people that control the money and print the money.
Capital can also be things like resources. Let's say you got 100 acres in your family, right? And you allow us as a people to cut down 10 acres of trees. Now we have that lumber, and we work that lumber, and we flip that lumber into either raw lumber products or break it down to the minute toothpick and sell it on open markets, chairs and everything in between, right? And then from there we farm that land, whatever we cultivate, we harvest, we use human capital, yes. And I'm just using agriculture as a pipeline. I'm to say that there are ways that we can start from nothing, little to nothing, and barter our way up an economic food chain and enter a market.
May I interject?
Absolutely.
The problem I see with bartering is that it's outdated. That's literally was the system that was in place before money was created. Literally, money is a deviation or a derivation, if that's even a word. Money is derived from bartering. The barter and trade system, money, that's literally where money comes from. It's just a more heightened, advanced barter and trade system, right? Instead of me having to give you 10 shells, I can give you a note that says I owe you in the form of $10, right? Or $1. You know what I'm saying? 10 cents each shell was worth 10 cents. I'll give you that $1, and then you can exchange that in for that. That's where that whole ideology comes from, right? The problem, the number one problem that people miss is that They don't create money. If you had your own West dollar, I had my own Donnie dollar.
What you can do now
and based off of
blockchain technology,
that's what they're trying to get it to, and that's what they're going to move it to. That's what it's going to move to. But that's still a problem. And I'll get to that. But let me finish my statement. When you don't control the monetary system, when you don't print your own money, there is only a limited supply of money and finances that you're going to even have access to. Now, if you don't know anything about economics, I'll break it down. In economics, you have to have what is called more coming in than you have going out. So it's called deficit. You can't be in a deficit going and starting off, or you're going to you get what I'm saying?
You can't start in the red.
You can't start negative, right? So I'm gonna ask you a question that I know you don't know the answer to because you're not an economist.
Okay.
How much money do you need to live for this year?
Do I need to live?
Mm-hmm. In the society that you live in, with your rent, LG&E, gas, everything that you do, children, everything. How much money do you need to live? You don't know.
160,000.
No, you don't. You don't know. I'm just saying, bro.
Rough
Like
number.
Okay. You're telling me you need 160,000?
Rough number.
Okay. So right now you work at where? Yeah. Are they paying you that? You're already in the red, bro. Think.
I hear you.
Like we are literally walking in slavery, and we're happy about it because we actually are given little trinkets and toys that dangle in front of our face, but
like
we
housing,
don't really know
like food stamps,
how,
like buses, like subsidized buses, like subsidized libraries. Like the society is designed in such a way that we have access to certain resources. Those resources provide opportunities that we can then leverage to make things valuable to us. It's no different than a mother who got access to food stamps selling half of them food stamps 50 cents on a dollar or 75 cents on a dollar to make a little extra cash to buy school supplies or whatever the case may be. It's just leveraging what you have from where you have to make a little something more.
I agree 200%.
It's all.
I agree 200%.
It's
but
all.
You gotta
Participate
blame what blame is due.
Some type of slavery.
And you gotta play your position, brother. If you don't know that you need over $160,000 and you don't know how to get that, you probably need to be making 3 times that amount. If you're spending $160,000, you don't even spend 100. How you gonna say you need 160 and you don't even spend 160? You've never even made 160. Like realistically, like why do you need 160, bro?
On paper.
Like why do you need 160, bro? Honestly, like we want things based off of what somebody else told us that we need. We don't even really focus on loving ourselves enough to know ourselves and what we need to be doing for our personal selves. Like I like smoking weed. I don't give a damn who tell me I need to quit smoking weed. If I have to quit smoking weed, then guess what? I won't be a part of your organization. That's me. I'm learning how to not feel bad because I fucking smoke marijuana because somebody else tells me that they don't want me to do that for myself. They don't know what's best for me.
Has somebody been pot shaming you?
Dude, I've lost jobs. I've been incarcerated. I've been oppressed because I choose to partake in the use of marijuana. So this is not something I'm just speaking on. This is something that I personally has affected me in my life. And it's affected me right now to this day. But guess what? I walk with my head held high, knowing who I am. Because I am God. And when you know who you are, you choose to carry yourself in a certain way. I refuse to allow money to stop me from being who I am. I'm a good-hearted person, bro. If anybody needs help, I'll use every inch of my being to help them, even if it comes at the expense of my life. And you don't have to pay me for that. But see, people have been moved to this place to where they're so controlled by money. They have made money their God. Money is a person's God. You will sell your own goddamn child for some fucking money, bro. And I'm going to tell you how I know. Because you'll send them to public school, bro. Instead of us sitting down being men and actually taking the responsibility of actually rearing our communities like we're supposed to, we sit back and placate to a financial falsity or lie. Work hard and one day you'll make it. How many jobs do you gotta work, bro? How many hours do you gotta put in, bro, before you actually make it, bro?
Well, what is the alternative to this working within the system?
Changing the system.
The approach that you take right now to change the system so that you then change the life that you have 10 or 15 years from now, right? We're talking about the habits that you go into every day with, the rituals that you have every day. You're not going to be in the same position if your plan is to leverage the resources that you have right now to get out of the trap that you're in. If that is the plan, then you will build that into your plan. You could do it in 2 years. You could do it in 1 year if your plan and your habits and your rituals are in line with the dream and the goal you have. If you don't have a vision and a dream and a goal that's even worth you being interested in and you pursuing vigorously every day, then you're not going to work towards anything. You won't matter if you're working for the corporation or working for yourself, because if you work for yourself, you won't put in the necessary due diligence, the necessary research, the necessary hours to leverage your time in the right way to return a profit. You can do that and live sustainably. But if you don't have that much zeal towards your own vision and your own goals, you won't do anything towards that mission. And then you will still be in the same position 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 12 years from now. And it won't matter whether you smoked weed. It won't matter whether you did coke or how many orgies you had, how fun it was, if you're not in a different financial position. And at the end of the day, that's what we got to really hold on to, is that if we're not putting in place our actions in our daily programming that is going to change our future, then we just run in a rat race.
If I may interject, I want to go back to the Negro and slavery times. Because if I was a black man, 1750, in America, indigenous, and I didn't speak European, I didn't speak English, I didn't speak a certain type of language, but I looked a certain type of way, legally I was deemed as somebody's property or being somebody's property. I didn't have a right to speak for myself because of the system that I lived in. So I could aspire to want to love, to want to understand, to want to try to live as peaceably as possible with these beings and with these people. But if they don't want to live with me, they don't want that for themselves. They don't want to live with me. They want to rule over me because that's their purpose. How am I supposed to thrive and live to the best advantages of my life and be that person that I'm supposed to be that thing that I'm supposed to be? How am I supposed to achieve those levels if I do not fully recognize the situation that allows me to be there? Case in point, going back to the slavery days, if we were considered Negro people and we were wanting to achieve a higher status in life, we're not able to get there being Negro people. You're not able, literally the system said that you didn't have any rights to be able to achieve anything for yourself, being a Negro person. So if the system is set up and stacked against you and you continuously trying to be, you might have to go 15, you might have to go 20, you might have to go 400 to achieve your task. What I'm saying is that doing the research, doing the work, fully going through the processes, that's what you got to do. That, like, I agree 200% with you. But what's going to happen is that upon doing the research, upon making the sacrifices, upon doing the things that you have to do to
How
get
far are you willing to go for the freedom that you claim that you want? Are you willing to move to a different country? Are you willing to take on a different name, a different title? Are you willing to reset your whole economic
it's
base?
any means necessary, whatever it takes.
Then the
That's
question
what
is,
I'm saying.
How free do you want to be? Because how free do you think you are right now?
Well, if I'm being all the way honest, I am not free. I fully understand that I am not free. That's what I'm trying to get my people like yourself and my other community members to fully understand. Working a job does not make you free.
Working a job does not make you free, but the alternative is a worse
dollar,
slavery.
A money, bro, listen to me, bro.
You can be a slave with no money, or you can
listen
be a
to me, bro.
slave
I had the floor,
with
bro. You
capital.
didn't even ask to interject. I had the floor. If we can both can't talk at the same time, if you want the floor, I'll give you the floor. But we need to have a little bit more decorum in the conversation. I'll 30 seconds and I'll give you back the floor. May I interject? Do I have the right to interject?
The floor is yours.
If we don't fully understand that no matter how much money you make, you don't print money. You don't even control the money that you work for. They literally can come take your money, Kanye West, after you had an agreement with them. We don't fully understand the system that we live in, and we think that we're a part of the system that we live in. No, you're a slave in the system that you live in. I fully understand this. See, if you had real power and authority over yourself, you would be able to exert that, and we don't. In this system right now, if I do anything to break the rules that a certain group of people don't like, they will come and unalive me. I will disappear. That's the truth about this situation. So we got to start placing blame where blame is due. You can work till you're blue in the face, brother. You can make $1 billion, and guess what? If you make the wrong decision and choice, there is a group of people or a group of beings or force that can come take that from you. So how free are you? What does a dollar cost? How much does a dollar cost?
Always going to be a man behind or a woman behind the veil, a hand underneath the white glove, the mysterious cryptic organization pulling strings and making the world go round. We understand we live in a society where there are forces at play that control the ebbs and flows and the ticking of the clock of a time bomb of this, society that we live in that can either make it rise or we can fall, right? In that space, we have titles and positions. We are either slave or master or something in between. We recognize this to be the truth. That is the world that we live in. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
but not from a spiritual level.
Not from a spiritual level. From my flesh of my flesh. This is the world that we live in. We live within the confines of the mathematics of this geometry and within this geography. Rules are in place. Okay. Now you can choose to be in that space and be a slave, or not choose to be a slave and you're a slave anyway, right? Mm-mm. You can be, when I say that, I mean like you can be forced into servitude, and that is how it is often the case. No one's going to willingly put themselves in slavery outside of debt slavery, and that's a whole nother conversation.
Unknowingly you would.
Unknowingly we do it every day. You do it by living within that particular geography, and whether you like it or not, by living in that space, you sign up to ascribe to the rules, to obey the rules of that territory. By your citizenship in certain spaces, you sign up to live in that space under that rule of law. That's why I asked how far you would be willing to go. How far would you be willing to move for the level of freedom that you say that you want?
Your life.
Okay?
Your life.
Because you're okay with the level of freedom that we're living under right now, because there are other places in this world where it is more free to live or less free to live, but then more resources to leverage and or less resources to leverage. You know, human capital and otherwise, physical resources from the earth, or just leisurely enough time and beautiful scenic views so you can think of the next idea or think of the next creative venture to change the world, right? All that is true. Do you agree?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
once we have that established, it does not make a damned bit of difference if that individual does not have discipline and a work ethic and rituals and habits that will move him closer to the vision that he wants. He or she, if they're not waking up every day with a plan and goals with dates defined that are smart and reasonable for their attainment, and some that are so aspirational they have to grow and become someone new, then they will not have anything to aspire towards, and they will still be in the same place 5 or 10 years from now. If they're not surrounding themselves with the proper mentors and stewardship to learn and to model the character that they want to become, they won't grow and change. And then it won't matter the oppressor, it won't matter the geography, because they have already become subject to the frame of mind that is not helping them. It's not growth mindset. It's a fixed mindset, and therefore they will be in a fixed position as time goes on. If we're not talking about things on that level, the individual power, the power that the individual has over himself is first. His level of autonomy is first over his body. You know, even in slavery, even if you're in the slavery of your geography, you still have autonomy over your body. You have autonomy over your thoughts.
Yeah, but if I may interject, I think that it's important to also understand that the body, the mind, and the spirit are three different things. And when you have a spirit and you are a spirit being, when you have a soul being a soul being, when you have a body, you're right. They can lock your body up. They can take your freedom away from you, but they can never, ever take what you know. They can tell you what you know, but they can't take what you know away from you specifically without, you know what I'm saying, literally killing you and destroying you. And they'll never destroy you because you have a soul that lives on infinitely forever. So being able to tap into soul energy and understanding that you are an infinite being and this experience that you're living is something that is placated on choices and decisions that you chose for yourself to overcome. How do you overcome the obstacles? How do you overcome the mishaps in your life without fully understanding? Because everything you said is I agree with, but I also look at it from a perspective of being able to, you know, place blame where blame is due and continuously move up. I don't want to move back, and I don't like laying stagnant or being stagnant. And it's like still water. And I see a lot of our community being stagnant because we don't work together. We don't pursue a situation that is amicable for the outcome of our longevity. Oh, like 30 seconds, I'll give you the floor. Our community doesn't work together in an amicable way to produce a livelihood for our children, for our women, and for our men to thrive. And I think that that's something that we've got to look at and be able to see, that we don't fully control our communities. Our communities have been broken, and in order to get them back, we've got to stop. We've got to stop everything and fully understand what it is that we're doing, because the monetary system that we live in is a lie. It is something that has been set up to control and manipulate the masses. And until we fully get control over our personal family finances, We're doomed.
When a person gets cancer, sometimes the cancer is formed within the body based on the person's genetics, or on other occasions, cancer is formed based on environmental factors, things such as toxins in the environment, in the space, toxic habits that then translate into internal conflict. If we look at every individual on a cellular level as if we are all part of a greater organism, our experience as cells then becomes either healthy to the cells around us or detrimental to the cells around us. Either we are causing growth and development, or we are causing conflict. So, as individuals, we have to, yes, know who we are. When we look in the mirror, we have to really recognize that face in the mirror, or be transparent with ourselves as individuals and know that I don't see the person in the mirror as helping the other cells within this organism or this community around me. That then will be the moment of decision and reflection that we take when we are asking ourselves the question, where do I want to be and who do I want to be 10, 15 years from now? What do I want to have my history be when I look back from that standpoint? What do I want my memories to be when I look back from that standpoint? And who do I have to become along the way to have those experiences that I so desire? That is the question that we're asking. And then when we recognize this, then we go into our daily habits, our daily rituals, our patterns of thought, our actions on a regular and consistent basis. The Monday through Friday, Sunday, Saturday, mundane, the regular things that we put ourselves through. What are those things? Those are the habits that will affect more than anything. It's not the major events that you attend. It's not the births, the deaths, essentially. It's the little things that we do. First thing we grab in the morning. Are we grabbing a cigarette first thing in the morning, or are we grabbing a glass of water with lemon and some ginger slices? Just for example, there's no pattern that is for everyone the same. We all have something that will be best suited for us. But the thing is, something that we do every day ought to be good for us. And it should be what we're planting into our bodies in order to have a different future 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years from now. And it's a point of reflection. We are reverse engineering what the future ought to be and how we want to show up in that future. And I just think it's our job here at Out the Box to push the conversation forward so that you are thinking about these things in that future. So it's a familiar future you're working to.
Facts. Definitely. You know what I'm saying? Been a great episode. Here at Out the Box, we always try to bring, different type of, agendas and aspects and talk about things from a perspective that is taboo, that it, calls out a lot of the things that people, I feel, want to say, but they don't really want to come out on public or national, platform and say it. But it needs to be talked about. A lot of this stuff needs to be talked about. So, doing it in the most respectable way and manner as possible is what we try to do here at Out the Box. So, like I said, my name is Don Julio. No Fulio, always Coolio.
And we came right out the gate this one. We didn't even give an intro in the beginning.
Well,
we just jumped right in. My name is Westerfield Tolbert with a mind of valor This is Out the Box. Thank you for joining us on this Friday afternoon.
Friday afternoon. Peace.